Hello friends, today in this tutorial we will be building a Apollo client CRUD kind of an application inside GraphQL. So basically Apollo client is a very famous client in which you can access the GraphQL API. So if you just type here Apollo client here GraphQL, the official website will come here, and basically it's a official website of Apollo GraphQL. GraphQL is a very good alternative to REST API. It's a very good API generation tool, and you can see that this is Apollo client. It is available in all the languages, in all the frameworks: React, Angular, Vue.js. Specifically, we will be looking at how to build a React.js front end to a GraphQL API using Apollo client. We will be doing mutations as well. Mutations are nothing but doing the CRUD operations: create, delete, update, and read. So this is the GraphQL API which is hosted on the backend side, guys. You are using Node.js and Express for this. So you can see localhost 8080/GraphQL. So basically, if you go to this interface, we are using the MongoDB database for storing all the records, guys. So you can see this is my MongoDB database reference running here. It is one record present. Let me delete this record and start from scratch. So this is our table, guys. So here it will be storing all the records. So right here inside us, we will be creating a query, guys. Simply a mutation. First of all, we will create a mutation, guys. In this way you can create a mutation. This is the interface of GraphQL API. Here you can execute any sort of query. So inside the mutation, guys, first of all we will create a user. So in order to create a user, guys, we will need to require the input here. So inside this input, this will be an object, guys. So here we need to provide the name property. So name, let me provide here Martin Guptill. So then we need to provide the also the age as well, guys. So age I will provide as 36, and gender I will provide as male. So if you just type this, guys, and also we need to return out the created user. I need to print out the name and the age and the gender. So if you execute this query, guys, one record will be created, and on the right hand side you will see that the data JSON response will be returned to us in the right hand side. That is, the created username is Martin Guptill, age 36, gender is male. If I check the MongoDB database, if I refresh it, you will now see one user has been successfully created. If I change this query, guys, let's suppose I want to create another user, I can simply change it to like this and change the age to, let's suppose, 31. Click on this, you will now see now two records will be there inside this MongoDB database, guys. You can see that we are successfully creating the records using GraphQL API using Apollo client. This is Apollo client, guys. We are writing the mutations here, and this mutations you can, let me quickly just add some more entries out there. And one record has been successfully created. Let me add one more record here. So let me change this to 32. So now you can see that, guys, four records will be present in right here inside the table here. So now we will provide, we will write the query here, query. We will read all the records. So we will read all the records. This contains a method, guys, which is all user. And for all users, we only need to print out the names this time. So this will print out all the names of the person. So name Martin Guptill, Kane Williamson, Devon Conway, Tim Saudi. So you can see it will return this array to us. It will contain four objects, each having this name property. We can even print out age as well. So this is a complexity, this is a flexibility of GraphQL API, guys. You only require the information that you will provide here. So here we are not returning all the information, all the fields out there in a traditional REST API. This is a disadvantage, but in GraphQL API you only specify the fields that you want to get. So let's suppose I want to get only the gender. So let's suppose I only write the gender property. So gender column I will write here like this. It also gives you autocomplete, so this makes it very much easy to successfully run your application. So you can see gender will be property will be returned to us. The important the order is also important. You write gender name, then it will also return the same order, gender name, like this. This is the read process. We are reading all the records which are present inside the MongoDB database. So now, guys, what we need to do is that we need to delete a user. So again we will provide a mutation, guys. So mutation, and inside the mutation we have a mutation called as delete user, and here you will provide the ID of that user which you want to delete in this case. So we will provide this ID, which is Martin Guptill. So let me copy this ID here, simply Control C. This is, I am just doing it manually just to showing you. Inside double quotes you will paste the ID, and then basically it will delete that ID. and now we need to return out the name of the person which is deleted. So we will simply return the name. So now you can see the name will be returned to us. This record has been successfully deleted. So basically if I refresh the database, that record will be deleted successfully. So now you can see 3 records are there. So in this case guys, you can provide the ID of the record that you want to delete, and this will delete this record by using this mutation. So let's suppose the last operation that we need to perform is the update user. So update user also takes the ID or which record you want to update. Let's suppose I want to update this record, which is Kane Williamson. So basically I will copy the ID which is generated automatically by MongoDB database. Simply I will paste it this ID here. And after that guys, we need to provide the object. We need to provide an object here which will be the updated name. So let me change this to, let's suppose, Trent Bolt. And let me now also have the age property which will be 29, and the gender property will be male. So here we will return the name of the person. So here guys, what we need to do is that if you check the mutation here, if you check the syntax which we have defined inside our front end, if you see the update user syntax, we need to provide this object which is input object. That's why it is creating that problem. So input object, this needs to be an object. So now you can see that we are modifying the name here, age as well, gender as well. So if I run this query, now you can see the updated username is returned to us. If I refresh the database, you will now see the name will be successfully changed from Kane Williamson to Trent Bolt. You can now see the age is also changed 29. So in this way guys, you can perform all the 4 operations, which is create user, read user, delete user, and update user. So this is the mutations guys. Mutations are nothing but the CRUD operations that you modify the API, and also we can read all the users. So this is all about GraphQL guys, CRUD API, which will be developed, and we will be consuming this GraphQL API using the Apollo client inside our React.js front end. So we also have the React.js front end guys. You can even create let's suppose I move to the React.js front end. This is hosted on localhost 3000. Now you can see we are printing out all the records here, which is name is equal to Trent Bolt. You can now see the age is 29, gender is male. So if you want to delete a specific user here, you can hover onto this record. The ID will come here, and simply if you delete the user, now you can see that user is deleted successfully. If you want to update it, simply the ID will come here, and simply you need to change the name of the user. Let me change it to something else. Also change the age as well, and change gender to female. Click on update. Now you can see it has successfully changed the name, age, and gender. So this is, we are doing it using the React.js front end guys that we have developed here. So we will be looking at step by step how to do it. You can also create a brand new user guys. Just provide the name, age, and gender. So just provide here. Click on create. Your record will be created. So in this way you can create as many records as you want, like this. So now you will see 4 records will be present right here. So we will be looking to build this application from scratch guys. Hopefully you will like this application. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please hit the like button, and we will be starting it from scratch. So I have given all the source code in the description of this video guys. This is a blog post I have written here in the webninjadeveloper.com. This is my blog post. Step by step blog post is there, so all the source code is given. So simply copy this. I have, let me give this blog post in the description of this live stream. So get the full source code guys. I have given the source code in the live chat, so simply you need to go to that live chat and simply download all the source code. So let's get started by building this application guys. So simply you need to create a brand new folder inside your projects directory, and simply we will create a folder here which will be Apollo React. We will go into this project and basically open this inside our Visual Studio Code text editor guys. So right here guys, we need to create 2 directories, which is for the backend, and we need to create a front end directory. So just create these 2 directories guys. So now you can see we have created these 2 directories. So we will first of all build the backend. We will first of all initialize the package.json file, so inside the backend directory. So now we need to install the dependencies guys, which are required for this project. So the first dependency which we will need for building this application is Apollo server. So Apollo dash server express. And this dependency is very much required, guys, because we will be integrating the Apollo client inside our Node.js application, inside our Express application. So these dependencies will be needed here. We will also be initializing our Express module. So npm I express. We also need the express dash GraphQL package, guys, to interact with the GraphQL API. We also need to install GraphQL, and also we need the GraphQL tools and GraphQL yoga. So all these tools are there to build out the GraphQL API, guys. And also we need to install Mongoose library, which is very much necessary in order to develop the MongoDB application. So it is installing all these dependencies, guys. So once it is installed, it will be listed inside the package.json file. You will see all these dependencies are there. So we have successfully installed it. So just you need to create the index.js file here, and simply we need to initialize the Express server. And for this we need to simply go to package.json and simply write this statement, which is type. We need to say module, so that we can use the import statement inside the index.js file. So here we need to import the express from the express module, express from express. And then we also need to make a new app, express app. And basically we can simply put a port number which will be equal to 5000, and we will be listening on this port number. So we can simply say in the console that app is listening on port 5000. So now you can see our Express application will be started. So right here, guys, we need to first of all connect to our MongoDB database. So this is a database that we have created, guys, library. Simply this is hosted on my own computer, guys. So this is MongoDB Compass software community edition. You can even use MongoDB Atlas as well, but I think it's a great alternative. You can basically use this here. So now you can see that guys, the server is installed here. So basically now we need to connect to our MongoDB database here. So basically this is the database that we have created here, which is called as library. So now we need to connect to our MongoDB database. So for doing this, we will use the Mongoose library here. So we have installed this Mongoose library. We need to simply import this Mongoose from Mongoose, and simply we need to now initialize the server here. Sorry, database name. So this we have created library. Simply write the database name here, library. After this, guys, we need to also construct the URI for connecting to our database. So basically, if you're running it on the local machine, this database runs on the port number like this. This is address localhost 27017 followed by your database name. So in this case, our database name is db name. That's it. This is a URI which is constructed. And one more thing, guys, we also need to install this CORS dependency, which is cross origin resource sharing. So install this also. And we need to pass this middleware. So we need to import CORS from CORS. And we simply need to pass it app.use CORS. That's it. This will prevent the cross-site scripting error. And after this, guys, we also need to include this middleware also, which is Express.js just for this. And after this, guys, we need to connect to our MongoDB database. So we will use this mongoose.promise, and this will be equal to global.promise. That's it. And in the next line, we will simply say that mongoose.connect, and basically we can connect to this URI that we have defined here. And in the second parameter, you will see that use new URL parser is set to true. That's it. So if you see, guys, now if you start your application, so let's suppose I say node-mon index.js, you will be successfully connected to our MongoDB database. So that's it. Now app is listening on this port number. So now we need to basically start our Apollo server, guys. So basically our GraphQL API. For this, we will need to first of all include the dependencies which are required for this. We need to import the Apollo server from Apollo Server Express. And after this, we also need to first of all initialize this Apollo server. So right here, after you initialize the Express application, here we will simply say const server is equal to new Apollo server. And here inside these options, guys, we need to pass two options, which is the schema and the resolver. So we will create these two files later on. But now to apply this middleware to this Express application, just to connect these two things, we will say server.apply middleware, and here we will pass the application over. That's it. So this will connect the Apollo server to our Express application. That's it. So now we need to pass these two things, guys. First is this type def. We need to pass this, and the second one is the resolver. So we need to pass these two things, guys. So for this, we need to create these two files. So first of all, we will create the model, guys. So just create a models folder, and inside this, you need to create a file called as user.js. So this will hold the application data for our application. So we will create a model or any sort of table. So right here, we will simply say here, we need to import Mongoose for this. And after this, we need to say the schema is nothing but, guys, what fields you will use inside your table. It is contained inside this mongoose.schema, and here we will define the user schema, guys, which is equal to new schema, and this contains an object. So first of all, we will say it will contain a name property which will be of type string. So this is a data type we are providing, and required must be true. So here we are making this field mandatory, that user must write this field. It cannot be left empty by the user. Then we have the second field, guys, which will be a age parameter. This will be of type integer. So we will write here number. This is not mandatory. User must can fill out empty value for this. And similarly, gender also we have the type string, and that's it. Name is only required, guys. These two fields are not mandatory. And now at last we need to export this. So we need to say export default mongoose. And now in order to create a table or model, we will create this model here, guys, like this, which is called as, let's suppose, user table. This will create this, and we will pass the schema which we will have, user schema, which we have defined here. That's it. So this will contain 3 columns inside this table or model user table. So now we need to simply make this file called as the next file, which is called as schema.js in the root directory, schema.js. So this will hold the actual uh, schema, guys, for our GraphQL API. For this we need to use the GraphQL from Apollo Server Express. This is the we need to use, and here we will be exporting the type def, which will be needed for our application, for our Apollo server. We will use this GQL, and inside here we will define this template string like this. This is a format. So here, guys, we will type the user. This is the model that we will define. The ID will be automatically generated. This will be required by the GraphQL API. So this sign that you see explanation mark here, this means that this field is mandatory. You should definitely provide this string whenever you are accessing the information from the GraphQL API. Name is also required, guys, which will be of the type string, and age is also required, which will be of the type integer, and gender is also required, which will be of the type string. That's it. This is the format, guys. Here we are accessing information from the GraphQL API, so this is the information that we need to provide. And then basically we will declare a type query, guys. So whenever we write something to get the data, so we will declare a get user function, guys. So here you need to provide a ID parameter to get a specific user. You need to provide its ID, and then we will return out the user. So this is a return statement. So this user contains an object which will contain these 4 properties. So if you want to get a specific user, you need to provide its ID inside the parameter. This is kind of a function. And also, in order to get all the users, guys, you will have all user function, and this will return the user full user array. You can now, it will contain the array of objects, which all the objects which are there inside, all records which are there inside the model or table. That's it. Next, we will define the actual input, guys, which you will define inside our update user. So user input, we will call this as, and here we will provide the name, which will be of type string. This is mandatory. Then we will provide the integer, which is also mandatory, and the gender, which is of type string, which is also mandatory. So here this is a user input, guys. And lastly, guys, this is for the mutations part. So whenever we will be doing the CRUD operations, whenever we will be modifying the data, this is called as mutation. So now to create a new data, create a new user, we will provide the input, which is of the type user input. We have successfully defined this user input, which will contain these 3 fields, and it will return out the newly created user, guys, newly created user object. And how to update the user, we will simply say here we will get the ID of the user that you need to modify. In this case, we will provide the ID. This is mandatory. Then we will provide the input object, which will be of the type user input. This will contain 3 properties out there, and then we will return out the updated user. Similarly, for delete user, guys, we will pass the ID of the user that you need to delete. This will be mandatory, and then it will return out the user which is deleted. That's it. So this is the mutations queries, guys, which for GraphQL API, which you define inside your schema.js file. This is very much necessary, type def. Now we can simply include this. We can simply say import type def from the schema file. That's it. So now we are importing it inside our Apollo server. Now we need to create a second file in the root directory, resolver.js. So here we will perform the actual operations, guys, in CRUD operations using the mongoose library. So here we will resolve all the operations. So here we need to first of all import the user model, and then we need to say export const resolver, and here this will be an object, guys, so query, and whenever we do the query, guys, so we will put async. And now to get a specific user, guys, we are providing the root query, and the id will be passed to it. So whenever you want to get a specific data about a specific user, we are getting its ID, its user ID, which is automatically generated by the MongoDB database. So depending upon that ID, guys, we will return the data, which we will say await, because this is the async function, so we can use await keyword. And here we can simply say user, and it contains a method, guys, which is mongoose find by ID. So it will find the record by its ID. We need to provide the ID, that's it. And then, guys, we need to simply call async all user. This is another function that we defined inside the schema, guys. If you closely look here inside schema.js, we have defined these functions: all user, get user. So we are just writing this in resolving it. So you need to put a comma here like this, async all user. So here we will return await user dot find. So basically, find method returns all the records by default in the descending order, and it will contain all the records. So this query is complete, guys. So now we need to move to the mutation part. Mutation, and we will write the first mutation, guys, which will be for creating a new user. So this will take the root query, guys, and then the input object. So basically inside the input object, guys, we will simply return await. We will create a user by using the create method of mongoose, and here we will pass the input object. That's it. How easy it is, guys, to interact with the MongoDB database using Mongoose. You can see all these methods are pre-made available to you. You just need to write it. So next method is update, for updating the user. So for updating the user, guys, we will also get its ID parameter. ID will be equal to the ID and also the input object. So whatever you need to update. So here we will simply say, right, return update user dot find one and update. This is a method, guys, find one and update. So here you need to pass the ID and as well as the new parameter. So first of all, we need to pass the ID, whichever record you are updating, and also you need to pass the actual records that needs to be updated. And the third parameter you need to pass is the new parameter, which is new is equal to true. So the new record will be inserted. So this is the update mutation, guys. So we are using this method, which is find one and update. Please hit the like button, guys, subscribe the channel as well. The next function we will do is for delete operation, to actually delete the user. So delete user, this is very easy. We will get the ID of the user, which user we want to delete. So we will get the ID, and we simply need to return await user find by one, and find one and delete. This is the one, guys, and here we will actually pass the ID of which user we need to delete. That's it. So this is all the four mutations, guys, which is actually create user, update user, delete user, three mutations, and then this all user, get user. Now you also need to include this file here. Simply include this resolver from resolver. That's it. You can see we are exporting it, resolvers here, and here we are importing it right here. So we are passing these two things to the Apollo server. So basically, if you refresh it now, this application, so now it is saying cannot find module uh, schema imported from. Let me input it .js and resolver to also .js, and it is saying that schema.js. Did you mean to import? Let me see, guys, what is the problem here. Let me import this. So it is saying that inside cannot find module backend resolvers.js imported from. I think I have made a mistake, guys. So simply what you need to do is that simply copy paste this code here. Simply control C and copy this code. The code is given in the description of this video, guys, so don't worry about it. Cannot find module. What is the error, guys? Let me see. I think inside the resolver file we haven't imported this, so we need to import this. Export const. Let me see if any sort of error has taken place. Sometimes can these typing mistakes can occur, guys, so that's why it is very much important that you write the correct code here. So what is this error, guys? I don't understand. I just use the same code, but still it is giving me this problem. Apollo React backend resolvers. Okay, I think I need to rename this file, guys. This needs to be resolvers. So just change this file name to resolvers, guys. So just change this file name, and now you can see it is saying that you must await server.start before calling server.apply middleware. What is the problem here? Simply copy this code, guys, inside our index.js. Simply paste it. Uh, if you're watching it for the very first time, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe the channel as well. Uh, some comments are there. Let me read those comments. So please hit that like button, guys. You must call server dot start before calling server apply middleware, like this. I think this error is taking place. This is Apollo client here, and I have given all the source code, guys, in the description of this video. So you can now see this is our basically server side code which is running here. You can now see this is a code here, which basically this is a code which is running here. So if you see, let me paste this package.json file, guys. So I think this needs to be the same package.json file. So let me paste this code here inside this newly created package.json file. So just paste this code here, and once again you need to run this npm I. So install the dependencies basically, guys. So let me just say npm I dash dash force. This package.json file needs to be the same here. So simply you need to install the same versions here which we are given right here, which is You can also test it inside your own machine, guys. Sometimes these errors will not take place on your own computer. So it is saying that already someone is using that port number. So we need to change this port number. Let's suppose I change it to 5000. So now you can see that, guys, the GraphQL server is started here on localhost 5000 slash GraphQL. So basically just go to it, localhost 5000 GraphQL. So this is your interface, guys. Basically you can provide any sort of mutation or query here. Let me write a mutation here to create a new record here. So we will say create user, and here you need to provide the input object. So I will provide the name here, let's suppose Kane, and let me provide a age of, let's suppose 24 or 23, and gender property I will provide male. So if I run this mutation, guys, it will also we need to return out the newly created name. So name is returned to us, and if you check the database, basically refresh the MongoDB database, it will, if you go to it, so basically if you connect it once again, disconnect and once again connect it. So inside your library database, guys, if you see, if you once again run this here, let's suppose I change the name to, so this record will be inserted. So just wait. So now you can see that, guys, Kane Guptill, you will now see, I think it has created to the same database. So what we can we need to change the table name. Let's suppose I create a new table which is called as user table. So this will now create a new table here, and if I execute this query, this will create a new user. And if you refresh it, basically we need to refresh the application, click on Kane. So this will create a new user, and if you see, if you refresh it, now you will see user table will be created here, and one record is created inside Kane, you can now see. So our new table is created inside MongoDB, guys. So right here we can pass some mutations here. Let's suppose we want to create another user, Martin. Age, let me say, is 33. Let me change it to Trent. Tim, and like this. So now we have four records. Let me query all these four records. So we can simply say get, or all user. We need to get the name and the age. So now you can see name, age will be returned to us. You can see four records are there. If you refresh it now, this is GraphQL API is perfectly working. We are performing mutations and query. Now we simply need a simple front end to perform these mutations and the queries. And we can simply also provide a delete query as well, delete user. We can provide the ID, whichever ID we need to delete. So we can simply copy the ID. Let's suppose I want to delete this record, which is Martin. I will copy this ID and simply paste it here. And then we need to return the name which of the user which is deleted. So Martin is deleted. If you see, only three records will be present right here. And also we can also change the, update the specific user. So for this you need to provide the ID. So whichever ID, and then you need to also provide the input object. So this is the object. So name we will change it to, let's suppose, tile. And here you need to provide the ID whichever record you need to update. So let's suppose I need to update this Kane record. I will paste this ID, run this, and also we need to return the name. Also we need to provide the age as well, 56, and gender is let's suppose female. Click on, we don't need the comma here. So what is the problem here? Let me see. Oh, sorry, this needs to be a string value. So just put a double quote here and put a comma as well here. So now you can see updated, the user has successfully updated. If you check the database, you will see the database is returned. So in this case, guys, you can see we are performing all the queries here. So like this. Now we need to use the front end, guys, to consume this API. We will use the React.js front end. So right here in the same folder, you need to create a second file here, which is this is for front end. We need to reveal in File Explorer, and now we need to initialize a brand new React.js application. We will cd into front end, and basically we will create a brand new React.js app, npx create React app, React Apollo. So simply create this React.js application, guys. So this will hardly take some 10 to 15 seconds to install all the dependencies which are required for this application. After this, we will simply make this front end to consume this GraphQL API inside the front end. So if you're watching it for the very first time, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe the channel. I am seeing people are not liking the content. Please hit that like button, subscribe the channel as well. I have given all the source code in the live chat, so you can go to my blog post, step-by-step blog post, and copy paste all the source code. So now you can see that, guys, it is installing all the dependencies which are required for this application. So now you can see that, guys, it has installed all the dependencies. Now we will move to the project folder and open this inside our Visual Studio Code text editor. So basically right here, this is our React.js application. And right here, guys, we need to install some dependencies for the, we need to first of all install Apollo Boost. We need to also install GraphQL, and also we need to install GraphQL tag and React-Apollo. So these four packages we will need for this application, guys. So simply install this. So just make it dash dash force, sorry, dash dash force. So to remove the compatibility issues. So now it has successfully installed it. So we can start this React.js application npm start. So right here, go to your first of all index.js file, guys, inside your React.js project. We need to first of all import some dependencies here. So we need to first of all import our Apollo provider, and here we need to import this from React Apollo. Also, we need to import our Apollo client, guys, from Apollo Boost. And now we need to initialize our, we don't need the report web vital, simply delete this. And also, guys, we need to create the client, Apollo client here. We will initialize the Apollo client here like this. And here we will pass the URI. So this will be the backend server URI, guys, where the GraphQL API is hosted. So this is hosted on 5000 slash GraphQL. So we will be making the request to this GraphQL API, guys. This is the address of the hostage. That's it. And also inside your React DOM render, guys, this method, guys, where you need to do this, you need to basically say here, we need to delete this. Instead, we need to simply say here React DOM dot render, and here we need to provide our Apollo provider. Inside this, we need to wrap the app. And here we need to provide the client, which is equal to, client is equal to the actual client that we have defined here like this. So after this we will put a comma here, which is put a comma and then document dot get element by id root. That's it. This is the modification you need to do inside index.js, guys. This is complete now. If you refresh the application, basically this will start the development server, which is localhost 3001. So here the React.js application will start. So simply wait, the development server is starting. So now after this we will manipulate the app.js file. So it is saying that export pass imported as pass was not found in GraphQL. What is the error? I think, guys, this is all related to the compatibility issues. So you need to install the same versions that we have used in this package.json file. So I will give all the package.json file in the blog post, guys. So simply copy and paste it, uh, update it, the package.json file to this package.json file, and then simply run npmi. So this will make sure that you are on the same page. So simply write here npmi. So this will install the same version number for all the dependencies. So there will be no conflicting dependencies available. As you see that if React.js upgrades to a newer versions, then these problems may occur. So you just need to copy paste that package.json file. So it is just installing it. So just wait, guys, and please hit that like button, subscribe the channel. So it is successfully installed it. So if I now npm start it, hopefully this time the application will start here and it will not create any sort of problem. It is starting the development server. So just wait for that to start. So it is saying it is compiling it. What is saying React must be in scope while using JSX inside app.js. So inside app.js, so we just need to import here React. This is the problem here. So simply import React from React. So this problem will be solved here. So logo is not defined. So we can simply delete all this stuff right here. So now this cannot resolve React DOM client index.js. Simply delete this React DOM. Sorry. It needs to be imported from React DOM only. So it is compiling it. So just wait. You can now compile successfully. So our application is built. So that's it. Now inside app.js, guys, you need to simply basically inside this you need to create four components. First is for the create user, then it is for update user, then we will have delete user, and then we will have h2 tag, basically just showing here GraphQL, MongoDB, CRUD using Apollo client, and then we will have the update, sorry, read user as well. So these four operations we will just perform here. So right here, guys, we will create a components folder here inside this React.js application. So we will define this component here one by one. So first will be create user.js. So first will be our create user, guys. So this will be basically a class level component. So here we need to simply need to import the React dependency. And also we need to import the GraphQL from GraphQL tag. And now we need to create that mutation, guys, which we created at the back end, which is create user. So this will be GraphQL template string, and here we will be writing the mutation, guys, which is create user. And basically here we need to provide three variables, name, age, which will be of the type integer. So these are required parameters. The third one is for the gender. So after this, guys, this contains the object. So here we will be executing a method which is called as create user. The input will be an object name, age is equal to age, and gender is equal to gender. So all the variables which are passed here, so we will create this method. Inside this method, guys, we will pass the ID, name, age, and gender. This will return all the four properties when the user is created. So now we have defined this, we need to create the class which is create user. We need to extend the component here. Sorry, component. So this will be imported from React here, you will now see. So right here inside this component, we need to call the constructor. We need to pass the properties, and we need to here call super props. We need to set the state here, which is called as name is equal to empty, and the age is 0, and the gender is also empty. These are the initial values inside the constructor. So basically here we will need the render method, which will be displayed something on the screen. So now to display this, guys, we will use the mutation. So inside the mutation we need to pass the option mutation will be equal to, which is we have defined this mutation at the very top, which is create user, and basically update. This parameter takes this update inside this cache, and this data will be returned to us. This will be an arrow function, and basically this mutation will return, guys, basically all the users which are there. So here we will simply say catch dot read query. This is a method. So here we will put the query which is equal to all user. So this will return all the users, guys, inside this. So all the users. So we need to create a brand new query for this, which is equal to import all user. So this is the query which is basically will allow our to fetch all the records from the database. So this will be coming from read user component. So we need to define this component, guys, which is read user. So basically the function of it to basically return all the users here. So this will also include React. In order to do this, guys, we will use the query parameter, which is there inside React Apollo, like this. And we also need this GraphQL from GraphQL tag. So here we will define this query, guys, export const all user. So here we will simply say in backtick symbol. So here we will put the query, guys, query, and here all user. So here we will need to return the name, age, and gender. So whichever properties user access, it will be returned to a user. So this is a whole query which is there. So now we need to define the actual function which will do this process for us. So we will simply define read user. This will be an arrow function, and here we will simply say query is equal to all user, and basically the function of this query will be to simply return the data. So here we will simply say we will have loading, error, and data. So here we will simply say if loading is equal to, then we need to return basically a loading text if the data is loading. If any sort of error take place, then we need to return the error, like this error. So now if data is returned to us, we can simply return the data, and here we can use the map operator, guys. This is a operator which is specifically used for arrays. So here we will have three properties: ID, name, age, and gender. Four properties. So we can loop through it, basically use this arrow function. So inside this div section we can simply display these parameters. So key parameter will be equal to the ID, and when we click on this function will execute. So e.prevent default, and we can simply say window.location.path name will get the ID attached to it. So we will pass the ID, that's it. So right here, guys, we will now display the actual information. So ID will be equal to the ID, and here the name will be equal to the actual name, and the actual age will be equal to the actual age, and the actual gender will be equal to the actual gender. So we are defining all these four things. We are printing out all these four things, guys. So I think this completes this component. That's it. Simply close this now. Inside now create user. Simply you need to. So basically, guys, if you check the, let's suppose I delete all this stuff now and only include the read user for now. So as, let me see, read user, we have put this. So export inside app.js, let me see. So I think at last you need to also export this. So export, yeah, we need to write this line, export default read user. So just write this line so that it can be imported inside app.js. So it is imported here. So if you refresh your application, guys, simply it will render out all the values which will be there inside database. So it is compiling it. So it is saying that expected an assignment or function call on line number 18. Let me see, guys, what is the error I have done. So if you just paste it, guys, you will now see